Hey, it's Dave from Cash Guitars. So we're going to get ready to put the pickups in the Workhorse project. Last video, it's been a little while now since I did the last one because we got busy. But I think on the last one we got the strings off it and everything, and I think we kind of went through and showed you basically where the pickups are wired in. But I'll show you again as we get into this a little bit. So let's get started on this. I'll bring the camera closer and we'll focus in, and I'll keep the mic on for this one because I don't plan on speeding this up or anything. I'll probably edit out some of the dead parts or whatever, but I want to be able to talk as we go so I can kind of point things out to you. I'm not going to show you how to solder or anything like that. I was a J standard and IPC standard instructor for years. I worked for 2 different companies where I taught all their employees how to do all of the soldering and everything, and got them all certified. I'm not looking to do that again. So I'm not going to teach you how to solder. If you don't know how to solder, there's plenty of things online that'll get you through it. It's relatively simple, but I'm going to point everything out to you and then probably just kind of step back and get them in and get them out quick because we're on a time frame here. So that's where we'll go from here. Cool. So I have I don't know if you're going to be able to see it unless I move it up. I have the toggle switch plate off. So we're going to be focusing in on here, on the cavity where all the wires are. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to be pulling one of these wires, you can see here, from the toggle switch. That's this one, and that's this one. This will tell me that these are not the pickup wires because these are wired to the toggle switch. On these guitars, the toggle switch wires back to, I happen to know, the center lug on the volume pots, and the end lug on the volume pots wires over to the tone on each one, and it also wires to the pickup. So I already know that this wire here, which, let me try to do this so you can see it. If you pull back the wire, you'll see it wires to the end lug. So I know that this is a pickup wire. This yellow wire here, I know it appears to wire to this lug, but it doesn't. If you follow the lead over, it wires to the end lug here. So this is a pickup wire. So these two right here are toggle switch wires. We don't care about them. We're going to try to just get them out of the way for now. We're going to be dealing with this wire, which is soldered to this outer lug and to ground, and to this wire, which is soldered to this outer lug and to ground. And we're basically going to apply a little heat and carefully pull the ground off and pull the lead off so we can remove these wires and take these pickups out. Now we should be able to flip this over if I don't knock everything off the bench here. And I like to tuck everything back in because I don't want to mar up the finish. Flip her back over. And bridge first because the neck pickup wiring runs under the bridge, so if you don't take the bridge out, you're going to have a hard time getting the neck out. Now we will take this out of the way for a few minutes and work on swapping over the other pickups. So these are the good pickups, the ones we're going to use. We got to put them in these rings. you haven't done this before, there's a couple things to notice here. Notice number one, the orientation of the slugs on the pickup. So if we turn before we take it off, if we turn the pickup ring sideways, you'll notice there's a thicker end and a thinner end. So the thinner end you want to point towards the neck. The thicker end goes back towards the bridge. So we want to get the orientation of the pickup ring correct. And you want to get the orientation of the pickup correct as well. Now, usually in most guitars, when you put the pickup in, the cable will come out the bottom corner. So if you're holding the guitar to play, that wire will normally, on a righty guitar, will come out the bottom corner of the pickup. But on a Les Paul, when you put the neck pickup in, because the route is at the top of the cavity, it has to run back up and then come down. Ready to go in. And you'll notice, now these are all prepped already, but you'll notice this is a 4-wire pickup. The two ends of the coil are soldered together on this one, because we're just going to run this like a regular humbucker. There's your bare and your ground, so they go together, and there's your hot lead. Whereas the ones that come in it are just a 2-wire pickup, so you have a hot lead and a ground, and that's it. These are nicer also because if we do decide down the line to start splitting coils or any of that kind of stuff, we can do it. Although I don't know that I would do it with these types of pickups, but it's there if you want to do it. You can run them in and out of phase and all that kind of stuff. You can do the coils parallel and series if you decide to. There's a lot of options. And this is the neck pickup, and this is, again, it's going to sit this way in the guitar, and this presents a little bit of a problem because the route for the cable is up here on a Les Paul, so this cable has to come up under the pickup and then down, which on most of these it will fit, but it's a real tight fit. Sometimes you have to add a couple inch or two extra length of leads on the wires, but I think we're going to be okay with this one. We'll see. I hope we'll be okay because I already prepped all the leads. This is the part that sometimes gets annoying. So neck has to go in first. And you'll see, usually on the backs of them, there'll be an N or a B. Sometimes they're color coded. Usually on these, the red is usually the bridge, not always. And what I'll do is just take a little piece of masking tape or a little piece of some type of tape that's not super sticky and just wrap the ends just so they don't get caught up on stuff as it goes through. And that was relatively easy, surprisingly easy. Now, I like to put a screw in it because on too many occasions I've had one of these hop out on me And you don't want the bottoms of these pickups with the screws sticking out to run down your finish, because that's never a good thing. So you'll see this is a tight fit. See if I can get us back in camera view again. So you'll see right there's the wire. And this is about par for the course with these pickups, because the lead length on these is just long enough to be able to make them work. This one actually isn't too bad. So that'll work good. Let's put the bridge in. We'll put a different color piece of tape on that one, just so I know that's the bridge, although it's easy enough to find out because it's got much longer, it'll have a much longer length of wire on it. I know, couldn't really see there, but all right, now that one's through. And again, I like to just stick at least one screw in to mount it so it doesn't flop out and walk down the finish on you. And you'll notice the bridge has been in this whole time, and I will always pull these out, but this bridge is staying in because it locks in. It's got the Allen screw on the side. That's the Geiger bridge. So I didn't bother to unscrew it because I know it's not going to flop out on me. Most of the time when you get the pickups, they'll come with the red and white wires soldered together already. If they don't, then solder them together, unless you're going to start splitting coils or whatever. But for just a regular installation, solder those together, or whatever your pickup's equivalent to the end of each coil is, and then heat shrink them, because you don't want those to short out on anything. What I like to do is I like to take the end of those wires, solder them together, fold the wire over, then put the heat shrink over it. This way it gives it something good to grab onto. It's usually your black or your green, whichever that particular pickup's ground is, with your bare wire, because your bare wire is always the ground of the base plate, or in this case probably the base plate and the covering on the pickups. So you want to put those two together and heat shrink them, because you have a bare lead that runs all the way down into the jacket here. So you'll have all of this potential for shorting. And when you're soldering it to the back of a pot and it lays against the leads on the front end of the pot, you want to make sure that that's covered. So I always heat shrink that as well. And then your main hot lead, and that's it. And tin that one, and then we'll get that hooked up. So you can start with either one, doesn't really matter. I tend to start with the neck pickup because that's usually the biggest pain in the butt, because the leads are so short, so we get that one out of the way first. And I like to do the ground first, because that is usually what's the word I'm looking for? A more heavy duty connection, because you're getting more solder on it, and it's a tougher connection, which will hold the rest of that cable in place while you solder the hot lead on. So let's do the ground. And realistically, I normally will throw a cover over the whole back of the guitar, but the cover I have is bright and I have a feeling it's going to put too much white light on the guitar, so we're just going to leave it like this for now. You have to give it enough time. I work with a pretty hot iron. I don't necessarily recommend you do that unless you've been soldering for a long time, because you can burn up a pot. You can certainly burn up anything else you touch. But I like to use a hot iron because I can get in and out quick. And sometimes it's about being able to just get in and do it quickly without having to keep an iron on something super long. This is where it gets a little tricky because there's not a whole lot of room in there, and you don't want to stay super long on those lugs, because if you do, you're going to melt everything and take the potential of knocking that initial wire that was put in at factory out of the hole in the lug. So that one's done. And I always go in and give them a little tug. Make sure they're not coming off. It's got some good connections that we did. I'll probably go back in and clean up a couple of the solder connections from factory just to make sure we're not going to have any issues in the future. But all in all, we're good to go where we're at right now. So I'll button it all up and we'll get it set up and we'll go from there.